Hi, and welcome back. This week in Level E, we're going to be covering lessons 45 through 48, and you'll need your fraction chart, the Math Card Games book, worksheets, numbers 29 and 30, either A or B, or maybe both, the fraction card deck, and the basic number cards deck. All right, let's get started. In lesson 45, you'll become more familiar with the size of fraction pieces and with adding fractions to total 1. The warm-ups review how many fourths and eighths you need to make 1, 1/2, and 1/4. These can be done with or without the fraction chart as reference, and I would first see if your child could do it without, but it's no big deal if they need it. That's fine. Go ahead and supply the fraction chart if they need it. So then you're going to write out the equations one by one and ask your child to look at the fraction chart to find the answer. Make sure to ask, how do you know? Because this will tell you whether or not they actually understand what they're doing. You will finish up this lesson by playing the Math Card Game 1, and it is Fraction Game F6 in the Math Card Games book. Notice that students will most likely need to use their fraction chart even to make simple fraction combinations. Once you notice that they can make these simple combinations easily, then I would encourage them to make more complicated ones, and then they'll definitely need to use their fraction chart. The in conclusion questions are a follow-up to the game, and then you're done for that lesson. All right, moving on to lesson 46. You will learn the term mixed number and how to work with mixed numbers. We will be adding fractions informally as well. The warm-ups are on worksheet number 29. You and your child will be drawing rectangles. This is after the warm-ups. You'll be drawing rectangles on the back of the worksheet or on your drawing board. Aside from the first rectangle, I would let your child draw the rest of them. These questions are a preview for the worksheet. So those are the ones that you're working through before your child actually gets to the worksheet. Once you've run through those few questions, your child is probably ready to do the worksheet on his or her own. Then you can ask the in conclusion questions and then play the game 1 from the last session. If the questions are a little tricky, if the in conclusion ones are a little tricky for your child, have them model the question with colored tiles. Okay, so for lesson 47, we will be learning the terms numerator and denominator. We will also practice finding the fraction of 12, a fraction of 12. The oral warm-ups are like last lesson's in conclusion questions. And once again, if they're tricky, have your child use the tiles. So let me go ahead and show you what that would look like.
Okay, so the question asks, if a whole is 4 squares, so here we'll put the 4 squares together. If a whole is 4 squares, how many squares do you need to make 1/2? Well, half of that would be 2 squares, right? All right. If a whole is 4 squares, how many squares do you need to make 2 wholes? So we can go ahead and add in 4 more. So how many squares do we need to make 2 wholes? We need 8. How many squares do we need to make 3 wholes? So let's put in another whole, which is 4 squares. So my total is 12. So as I said, your child might not need this modeling. They might be able to answer the question no problem, and they don't need anything visual. If that's the case, fine, just ask the question, they give the answer, and you move on. But if they do need a model, I would offer them these tiles or any other manipulative that you can move around like this to figure out the answer. And that's the case with the last in conclusion question as well.
Okay, next we will work on the words numerator and denominator. Notice that denominator starts with a D, just like divide, and it tells how many groups we have. The numerator is the number of groups. So notice it starts with an N, just like number. So for example, if we have 12 tiles and I want to know how many 1/3 is, I will put them into 3 equal groups and find out how many are in each group. Let's go ahead and give that a try.
Okay, so here we have 12 tiles, and I'm going to separate them into 3 equal groups. And I'll push those tiles together so that it's very obvious that that is one group. Here's another group, and here's the third group. So how many groups do we have? We have 3. And how many tiles do we have in each group? We have 4 tiles in each group. So 1/3 of 12 is 4. Okay, how about 2/3? How much is 2/3 of 12? Well, I just take 1/3 and another 1/3 and I push them together and I see that, oh, 2/3 of 12 is 8. What if we had the problem, what is 3/4 of 12? Well, how many groups do I need then? I need 4 groups. So I'll take these 3 off and make a 4th group down here. So now I have 4 groups of 3 each, right? And 3/4 of 12 would be 3 of those groups. So my answer is 9. Now it says, how about 5/6 of 12? Okay, so that means I need 6 groups. So here I have 1 group, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 groups. Let me put this one over here to make it a little bit more even. Okay, so I have 6 groups, and I want to know how much 5 of those are. So I would put 5 of the groups together, right? So 5/6 of 12 is 10.
In the actual lesson, you'll be using basic number cards instead of tiles. It doesn't matter if you'd rather use the tiles, you may, but the reason for using the cards in this lesson is because you're going to be using them for the next game, which is fraction of 12 game, and that is F10 in the Math Card Games book. And there's an excellent blog about it on the Right Start website. So you can finish up the lesson with the conclusion questions, and we'll move on to lesson 48. This is the final lesson for this week, and it's a review and games day. The game today is 1, which is F6 in the Math Card Games book, and you've already played that. If your child misses just a few questions on the review here and there, it's okay to move on, but I would sprinkle those problems in with the warm-ups, or maybe some other time during the day, just to make sure that eventually they're solid on that, on the ones that they missed. If your child missed a whole section or multiple sections, stop and review the following lessons. If your child missed the oral questions 1 and 3, go ahead and review lessons 6 and 33. If they missed the oral question 2, review lessons 3 and 13. In the Write the Answers section, if your child missed questions 1 and 2, review lessons 13. If they missed question 3, review lessons 46. In the Do the Arithmetic section, if your child missed the addition question, review lesson 13. The subtraction question, review lessons 21 and 22. If they missed the multiplication questions, you can review lessons 31 and 33. I'm sorry, 31 through 33. For the writing out the number problem, review lesson 15. And remember, if your child's actual issue is a spelling issue or a handwriting issue, go ahead and be the scribe for your student. Let your student read the number to you. You write out the answer in words, and then they can copy it onto the review. So don't let the fact that they have a problem with writing or with spelling make them miss the math problem, okay? In the Write the greater than, less than, or equal section, review lessons 30 and 40 through 42. In the Solve the Problem section, review lessons 33 and 34. And in the Draw Lines to Match section, you can review lessons 40 through 42. In the Crosshatch 2/3 of a hexagon lesson, go ahead and review lesson 44. And that's it for this week. We'll see you next time. Thanks so much and have a good one.